What's going on, guys, and welcome to Who to Sign For. Now in this series I'm giving you my recommendations on what players to sign for a specific team in career mode. But before we go on, I will say that the signings you'll see aren't designed to be realistic, and the player ratings and potentials of the players may vary depending on what database you're using and how they perform for you during the season. Obviously you don't have to follow all the tips. This is really just a set of guidelines to give you a hand if you're stuck for ideas and want some suggestions on what players you could sign for a certain club. This is mainly aimed at those who are out there who may be new to the game and just need a little bit of advice, or for those of you out there who just want a few recommendations on what players you could sign for a team that you may be using in career mode this year. So yes, in today's episode of Who to Sign For, guys, we're going to take a look at West Ham of the London Stadium. This year, of course, playing Europa League football after a fantastic league campaign under David Moyes last season. West Ham are a 4.5-star team in the game. They're very decent indeed. They start off with a transfer budget of around £45 million. Now, West Ham are a great challenge team in this year's career mode, and you see the reason why on the screen for you here. Their objectives are to reach the last 16 of the FA Cup. Okay, yeah, definitely doable. Win the Europa League and finish in the top 4. Yeah, those two objectives, incredibly tough in the first season for West Ham. Now, of course, last season they broke up the top 6, did a fabulous job at getting into the top 6 last season and qualifying for the Europa League. So top 4 isn't beyond the realms of possibility, qualifying for the Champions League via the league, but also winning the Europa League alongside it. This is a decent West Ham side. As I'll run you through it right now, they play a 4-2-3-1, and there's a good amount of quality in this side. A couple of very decent young players, none better than, of course, Declan Rice, their holding midfielder that you'll have as your captain for all the years you're at the London Stadium. But to break up the top 4 is going to be an incredibly tough ask of this West Ham team. Is it doable? I would say yes, but it's going to be incredibly challenging. And with 45 million, that doesn't get you very far in football nowadays. So it's not like you've got a monster budget where you can totally rebuild this team with fabulous star talent. No, it's not the biggest of budgets. Again, it's a good team, but it's not one of the best teams in the league. It's going to be a challenge to both win the Europa League and finish in the top 4, qualifying for the Champions League, either of those ways. So yeah, I definitely recommend as a West Ham as a challenge team in this year's career mode. I was really looking forward to undertaking this challenge and seeing what I could do. They've got several players that deals come to the end of the year as well. There's only one player I give a contract to, that's Johnson, the young fullback, very decent indeed with 78 potential. Everyone else I would put on the transfer list, including some of their senior players, Darren Randolph, Angelo Ogbonna, Aaron Creswell, Yarmolenko, and Fredericks as well. A few of those players, of course, have first-team roles in this West Ham side. With their deals that come the end of the year, I'd look to shift them on and look for younger and better replacements. Ogbonna's been at West Ham for a long time. He's always been a really good centre-half, but at 33 years old, his deal's due to expire come the end of the season. I'd let him go come the end of the campaign and look for a better and younger centre-backs. Ryan Fredericks, we sold him to Crystal Palace for £6 million. I tried to sell Darren Randolph as well, the Irish goalkeeper, as David Martin's here. He's good enough to be your third choice, as you'll barely play him anyway. But Ogbonna went to Bowen for 8.5 million. So once we sold our centre-back, it would of course be lining up alongside either Craig Dawson or your new man in from Chelsea, Kurt Zuma. I would recommend signing a new centre-half with West Ham. That's the number one area I'd look for improvement on. Dawson and Ogbonna are both in their 30s. Ogbonna you're going to sell in the first season. You're going to want someone younger to play alongside Zuma if you're not going to use Diop. And the guy that I would use, or the guy that I would sign out of the 4 names out on the shortlist here, is this guy. Former Chelsea player, so just like Kurt Zuma, coming from Stamford Bridge to the London Stadium, and it's Andreas Christensen, the Dane. Now, he's 25 years old, 80 overall, and you might be thinking, 25 isn't the youngest. You're wrong. 25 is incredibly young, don't forget that. But also, he's still got +5 for growth. So despite right now being in his mid-20s, he still gets to 85 overall at his peak. So grows really, really nicely. And because he's in his mid-20s as well, that growth will happen pretty quickly. He's 6'2". He's got some okay physical stats, but technically is where the guy excels. Very, very good defensive stats and quite comfortable on the ball as well. Not too bad. If you get the stop and development plan on him straight away, that'll improve his physicals, which at the moment aren't the best for a Premier League centre-half, but at 6'2", that'll give him the high defensive work rate as well. He'll slide in right alongside Kurt Zuma. You know, an ex-Chelsea centre-half duo here with West Ham, with Diop right now being on the bench. So we sold Fredericks, as you can see, to Patrick Vieira's Crystal Palace. Unfortunately, this Randolph deal fell through, but also Yarmolenko had a bid for him as well. He's a really decent Ukrainian midfielder, but again, now in his 30s, I would look to shift him on and bring in someone better and younger for the bench. We also did sell Aaron Creswell as well. You might be interested about why I did that, because he is the highest rated left back here at West Ham, and 79 overall is very decent indeed. But again, with his contract coming at the end of the year, he's now 31. Personally speaking, I'd look to sell him in the very first season. You got Masawaki, who is 77 overall, who's on your bench. That's not a big step down from Aaron Creswell, and you can get a better and younger left back as well. So once we sold Creswell to Lyon, I decided to replace him. I had 3 names on the list. The guy I would recommend more than any other is this guy right here, Owen Vindal of AZ Alkmaar. Unfortunately, you might find in your save, AZ won't sell him as they don't have enough depth in that position. That's very frustrating, but it's very common for that to happen with Vindal, as AZ don't have an abundance of left backs. However, the other 2 names are very decent B options, if you will. Zinchenko of Manchester City and also Purvis Estupinan of Villarreal too. These are really good young left backs here, both in their early 20s. You can get them for around the same sort of fee of around 30 to 33 million pounds. The Ecuadorian is very, very quick. Zinchenko technically is brilliant, as we know, an incredibly versatile player. We negotiated a 32.5 mil deal with Man City and 30 mil for Estupinan. Purvis is 1 year younger than Zinchenko, and whilst he is a rating lower, they have the same potential. Both Zinchenko and Estupinan have 85 for potential, so a dynamic potential, morale and game time. You can get them into the high 80s. Really, the choice is yours. Again, they'll cost you around the same sort of money. Estupinan's a year younger, but they're both very young in their early 20s, and again, they both have the same potential as well and will cost you around the same sort of money. So I signed Estupinan for £30 million, put him on a defensive wide back development plan. You want to get his defensive work rate up from medium to high. I always say on a wide player, be it a wide midfielder or a fullback or a wing back, having high work rate is really crucial, as they'll be bombing up and down the pitch all game long. You want them working really hard on both the offensive and the defensive end. That'll improve his stamina as well. That means he'll be a great wing back in this West Ham team, both when going forward and defensively as well. So we still have a little bit of money left over after those 2 signings there of Christensen and Estupinan, and they decided to sign a new replacement for Yarmolenko, and this guy seemed like the ideal fit. Now, I've mentioned him many times before. I've signed him in most of these Who to Sign For episodes. I'm a huge fan, if you can't tell by now. It's Noni Majuk of PSV, the English-born winger, currently playing out in the Netherlands right now. He's an inside forward by trade on that right-hand side. He's absolutely rapid, an amazing dribbler with 4-star, and a brilliant young talent. He's only 19 years old, and I mentioned before, if you haven't seen Noni Majuk play, watch him clips of the guy play on YouTube. I'm a massive fan. He's just got that natural flair, really talented youngster, and definitely a player I'd recommend picking up for West Ham. You can get him for close to his valuation, around 20 to 23 million, and personally speaking, whilst he can play up top, I keep Michael Antonio leading your line and spearheading your attack for now. But Majuk, I'd put Jared Bowen on the bench, even though he's a rating higher than Majuk, because Noni Majuk has 88 potential and dynamic potential. There's no reason you can't get this guy to 90 plus. So yeah, personally, Bowen's a great talent, but I'll put him on the bench and throw Noni Majuk in at the deep end. So following that, I had a little bit of money left over after season ticket sales. I would recommend a backup striker for the bench, and the guys I would recommend are on the shortlist here: Adeyemi, Skamaka, but also the number 1 target of the 3 is this guy right here. It's Adam Hlozek of Sparta Prague. This guy is an amazing young striker and one of the best in the game. Now, you can get him for close to his valuation, maybe a little bit over that, but he's got 87 potential. Again, with dynamic potential, could definitely hit 90 overall. You're going to want a long-term successor for Michael Antonio, as he's in his 30s right now. He's 3 ratings lower than your current starting striker. However, with the 87 potential, starting off 76 overall and being just 19 years old, this guy is going to grow into becoming one of the best strikers in Europe in your save once he hits full potential. I'll get him on development plan ASAP to get his growth a lot quicker, and as you can see, at 76 overall, he's more than good enough for your bench to come in and fill in for Antonio when he's too tired, injured, or suspended. So yeah, Christensen coming in alongside Estupinan for the first 11. Majuk I'd also put in the first 11 as well, and Hlozek for the bench. Only 4 signings But when you look at the potentials, Majuk with 88, Hlozek with 87, Estupina with 85, same with Christensen as well. 4 really great talents here. And we see as well the 4 players we sold. 35 mil we raised for a few Deadwood players, and also signing 4 players for 87.5 mil. It is a loss of £50 million, or around £50 million, but if you're going to hit those really strong objectives, you got to think big with this West Ham team. So as per usual, we'd simulate the end of the season, see how West Ham got on. I said it's going to be a challenge. I was looking forward to seeing how we do, and as you could see, well, there was no Europa League final, unfortunately, for West Ham. I thought we did well in the league, so as I backed out to find out where we got on, unfortunately we did well, but not well enough. My manager rating sunk to an incredibly low 53, and you can see the main reason why. Yes, we finished outside the top 4 when the ball wants to finish. Liverpool were champions in the very first season, with both Manchester clubs and Arsenal wrapping up the top 4. We were 4 points behind Arsenal, 3 clear of Chelsea in 6. So we guaranteed a Europa League group stage place, which to be fair to me is a very decent season, finishing in 5th place and having back-to-back years in the top 6. But it wasn't what the board wanted, unfortunately. But like I said, those objectives at the start of the season, incredibly tough. So I knew it was going to be an awfully tough challenge to get this West Ham team into the top 4. You see the top scorers, assists, and clean sheet charts here as well. You might have seen that Hlozek had 11 goals in his debut season since coming in from Sparta Prague. As for the Carabao Cup, that was won by Manchester United. Obviously, the board don't care about it, but I'd show you that we got to the round of 16 with West Ham in the end, knocked out by the eventual winners. Newcastle won the FA Cup, beating Arsenal by 2-1 in the final. We were asked to reach the round of 16 of this competition, and as you can see, we didn't. We got knocked out in the round of 32, so 1 round lower than the board wanted us to get to, knocked out by Leicester. And as for the Europa League, asked to win this, Milan were the eventual winners, and we were knocked out pretty early on in the round of 16 by, again, the eventual winners, AC Milan. So no real shame there, but unfortunately the shame was this. Yeah, really tough objectives. I failed all 3 of them. I never sweep anything under the rug in these Who to Sign For episodes. I've got to be honest, it's an incredibly tough team to use though in this year's FIFA career mode, and I really do recommend them as well. You know, there are certain teams that have like a great base and they have very low objectives and a lot of money, or just being like a really star-powered team. You can do like 1 or 2 seasons with, and you're basically done. This West Ham team is great for a rebuild, for a challenge, for a project. It's got everything. They've got some fantastic kits. I'm a big fan of their 3rd kit. The London Stadium, a real stadium, absolutely beautifully aesthetically pleasing stadium. You got Declan Rice, the young talent for many years to come, being your club captain. It's just a great team, and again, being a London side, you've got so many London clubs to have London derbies with as well, and to try and get into the top 4 in your very first season, if you want a challenge, a really fun team to use that needs a rebuild and to bring in some good young talent alongside Declan Rice, look no further than West Ham. In terms of teams in the Premier League and you can use for a career mode this year, if you're looking for a challenge but a really fun long-term project, West Ham are the perfect team to use. I definitely recommend them for a career mode this year. They're an absolutely brilliant side to use, again, for the challenge and for all the reasons I just mentioned there. They're just a great team to use this year. I had a lot of fun trying to rebuild this team. I had a lot of fun taking on the challenge. Unfortunately, I failed, but again, with those tough objectives, if you are looking for a challenging career mode this year, look no further than West Ham United. Great team to use for a long-term project. But that wins this episode of Who to Sign For, guys. So a big thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed, if you have, then please do drop a like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode of Who to Sign For very soon.